Hi there, it's Toby Jones here and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favourite hard rock bands, quite a recent discovery of mine in the last couple of years, the Scorpions, or just as they're more commonly known, Scorpions. And we're going to be talking about my CD collection of the Scorpions, which the main reason I do this is because I acquired them all in one eBay listing about 12 months ago, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And I always say this when I do these showcases. I've done a couple of these this morning. It's the third time I'm going to repeat myself. But there's two things about music for me that I love, and of course the main thing is the music itself. And in terms of collecting music is getting a good price, getting a bargain. And I managed to collect all of the Scorpions albums up to Sting in the Tail from 2010. Just checking. Yeah, that's right. For £60, which I thought was excellent. There's how many albums are there? There's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 20, 25 CDs for £60. Plus it included this live DVD, live at Wacken Open Air in 2006, which I've watched quite a while ago now, but really enjoyed that. Includes special guests, Yuli John Roth, Michael Schenker as well, making an appearance. I think in the middle, I think if I remember right, around the middle sort of Love Drive section with Coast to Coast Holiday, Love Drive, Another Piece of Me. I could be wrong there, but that's as I remember it, but that's a good concert as well. So a really good acquisition of these CDs. About 12, 18 months ago I started to collect CDs. On the vinyl front I bought Love Drive, Animal Magnetism, Blackout and Taken by Force. I've done a previous video that I've switched from vinyl to CD now, just to duplicate my costs all over again. But with Scorpions, it's been a real pleasure buying these CDs because it's got me into some of the albums that I wasn't into before. So let's look at the albums themselves. Now, I'll be honest, I'll be completely honest, I haven't listened to all of this yet, even though I've had 12 months. I bought this last April. But I think you can get overwhelmed a little bit sometimes with all of these bands and all this music to listen to. And I'm sure that when I have listened to it, I can revisit it again. So I'm going to be completely honest. The first 4 albums I haven't listened to a lot of. So you've got Lonesome Crow, which is, from just a CD design perspective, quite a, what's the word, minimalistic design, from a label called Metal Masters. And again, quite a bland CD design, really. Almost when I opened it, I thought, is this a copy or like a bootleg release? But it wasn't. So quite a minuscule release, but I don't think this is available anywhere else. I think this is the only CD release in Europe anyway there is, manufactured in England. Then we have Fly to the Rainbow, the second album, like the artwork of this. Then we've got In Trance, Scorpions' third album. And there are a couple of albums, of course, which were banned, so I'm going to have to be very careful at the artwork that were banned, so I'm going to have to be careful. But In Trance isn't really that bad, is it, for goodness sake? So the interesting thing with this one is that it looks like it's a Japanese release. You can see, if I show the spine there, you can see that's all in Japanese. If I flip it round, you've got the English translations there, and you can also see on the back you've got the Japanese and English track names. Also a white case. Don't know if that's a replacement case or not exactly sure. But again, a little bit different. A little bit of a quirk of collecting that you find these different things. Again, all of these from one seller, all in one listing. So I'd have to have him on the show, but obviously don't know him personally, to discuss how he got hold of all of these CDs. But In Trance, I haven't listened to a lot of this, but I have listened to about the first half of the album. In Trance and Life's Like a River particularly I really like. Virgin Killer, again, thankfully not with the original cover, or else I'd definitely get banned from YouTube. If you want to find that, go elsewhere. We then enter the period of Scorpions, which is my favourite, and that's really sort of the 10 years from Taken by Force all the way. In fact, we'll include that for 12 to Crazy World in 1990. Unfortunately, Taken by Force is not the original cover, which is a little bit of a shame. Obviously, that one was banned. It was the two kids fighting in the cemetery, and I don't see anything too sinister about that one. I can understand completely Virgin Killer being banned, but yeah, so quite a tame album cover. And just a word on this, that the next 4 of these, next 5 out of 6 in fact, of these albums, you can see are, and they're the wrong way around because I'm showing them in chronological order, so it won't justify it, but you can see they're all, apart from Blackout, the remasters. I think these were the 2001 remasters. Yes, the 2001 remasters. And unfortunately, they're not great. And I've only realised that recently, which is a bit of a bummer, because I'll be completely honest, a lot of the music I listen to, I tend to consume it on my iPod. I have a driving playlist I listen to on the way home and to and from work. If I go out for walks, I listen to the iPod. And obviously the music that I've got from these albums are taken from the remasters. I put them on my iTunes and then on the iPod, etc. And the remasters, and it's been commented on, I even went on a couple of forums just to check it wasn't my CDs that didn't sound great. And it's well known that these remasters aren't the best. They're very too loud. And that's, I think, a problem with quite a lot of remasters. But these are really, really loud. And distorts the volume of the music a lot. So, for brilliant tracks from Taken by Force, particularly Will Burn the Sky, my favourite with this, when you get to the main riff after the introduction spoken part, it's spoiled a little bit. And if I can get other issues of these CDs, I think I definitely will invest in those, because these are a little bit disappointing, to be fair. But the remasters do have a couple of bonus tracks on them. So on this you've got Suspender Love and Polar Nights Live, originally from Tokyo Tapes. I really like Taken by Force. Steam Rock Fever, Will Burn the Sky, one of my favourite Scorpions tracks. I've Got to Be Free, The Riot of Your Time. Sails Have Shut On, Your Light, He's a Woman, She's a Man, and Born to Touch Your Feelings, ballad to end the album. Really good album this. I really like Taken by Force. Tokyo Tapes, then, the first live Scorpions albums, albeit the cover's a little bit battered, unfortunately. Not a lot we can do about that. This being the first Scorpions live album. Again, unfortunately, it's not going to be one of my favourites because it's got a lot of the early stuff on that I've not really gone into in too much depth. Interestingly, Polar Nights, the original fourth track, has been left off because of the limited lengths of the CD and is now found on the bonus track of Taken by Force, which again is a little bit annoying. But there's tracks on here like Hound Dog and Long Tall Sally, which again there's no real need for, I don't think, from a group like Scorpions, but some really good tracks. Particularly one of my favourites from this album, one of the best additions, is He's a Woman, She's a Man. That's a real good live track, although the lyrics of the track are a bit questionable. Really good live track, really like that one. We've then got Love Drive, which I am going to just show the back of the cover because I really like the cover, but maybe YouTube won't. Another of the remasters, really good album, Love Drive. Not my favourite album, I think it's a little bit inconsistent actually, Love Drive. Loving You Sunday Morning, Another Piece of Me, and Always Somewhere are great tracks. I then think it tails off a bit after that. Coast to Coast's a decent instrumental. Can't Get Enough, again, decent. Is There Anybody There, almost like a reggae element, which is okay, but not the best. And then gets back to its best with the title track and Holiday to end the album. Really good album. I was just about to do that. Whoa! Just about to do that. In fact, can we get away? Yeah, let's just show it. Again, if you want to see the full cover, go to Google. Then we go to my favourite Scorpions album, Animal Magnetism. And I was thinking before I started recording this, how did I get into the Scorpions? Because they're not a group that, and I've said this a lot of times in the past, a lot of my musical, a lot of the bands I'm into, and my musical inspirations, that's what I was trying to go for before, are from my dad. He's a big rock music fan, but not a fan of the Scorpions, so I honestly can't remember how I got into the Scorpions. And it always sounds odd to say got into Scorpions. You almost have to say the Scorpions. So apologies for that. Just the way my brain works. But obviously Rock You Like a Hurricane was a big track, a track I've always known. Apart from that, I'm not sure. I'm sure this was my first introduction properly to the Scorpions. It's my favourite Scorpions album. Make It Real, great. I've actually done a review of this, more detailed review of this album. Don't Make No Promises Your Body Can't Keep, really heavy, great. Hold Me Tight, not the best. 20th Century Man, great. Lady Starlight, really love that as a ballad. And then Falling in Love, Only a Man, The Zoo, and the really tense, heavy Animal Magnetism title track is excellent as well. And then you got the single, Hey You, that wasn't included, a rare single that wasn't included. Again though, because this is one of the digital remasters, it's just a bit too overblown. You know, you got tracks like Falling in Love, which obviously meant to be really loud and momentous and Don't Make No Promises, just sound too loud here and a little bit distorted. Good news is though, Blackout isn't a remaster. It's one of the original 80s issues. Blackout, I think a lot of people would cite this as one of the best Scorpions albums. Obviously, it's one of the albums with the most hits on it. The title track, Can't Live Without You, No One Like You, You Give Me All I Need, Now, Dynamite, Arizona, China White, When the Smoke is Coming Down. Can't pick a hole in this album. Really good album. Then we got Love at First Sting. Not my favourite album by Scorpions, and I've gone back to this a couple of times and it doesn't hit the heights of the previous albums. In fact, this one got banned as well, so maybe I might have to turn that round, but oh well. We've done it now. I'm not going to edit it out. The reason for that, I think this album's a little bit inconsistent. You've got Bad Boys Running Wild, Rocky Like Hurricane, great. I'm Leaving You is decent. Coming Home, I really like that. But there's too much focus on being too anthemic on here, which is a bit of a criticism of this. Big City Nights, again, bit too repetitive almost. Still Loving You is a track that I should love because I love most of the Scorpions ballads, but I just can't get past something with Still Loving You. So, not my favourite album, Love at First Sting. But that's the end of the remasters moan, so that's good. We then move on to Scorpions Worldwide Live, which obviously I'm going to love this because a lot of the stuff is from this era. The Countdown, then Coming Home to open things out. Blackout, Bad Boys Running Wild, Loving You Sunday Morning. Really good album. Really good live album. Really good anthemic, feel-good live album. Savage Amusements. Funny, this album. One that I really like. And for a time when I listened... I don't know about the viewer. You who are listening to this. But if I find something I like, if I listen to something, I'm glued to it for the next 2 or 3 weeks. Really am. And I remember listening to this and listening to it on my iPod again and again and again and again. And some people don't like this album. I found that the reviews aren't great. But I posted it in a music group I'm in, a music collectors group on Facebook called Now Spinning. Said that I was playing this album. I said it's probably in my top 5 Scorpions albums, but people don't seem to like it. And then you get all the people come out, I love it too, I like it too. So you just don't know why public opinion sways on this. Bit of a change in sound, but personally I think it's great. Don't Stop at the Top, good track. Rhythm of Love, good track. Passion Rules the Game, really good. Media Overkill, good. Walking on the Edge, one of my favourites. We Let It Rock You, Let It Roll, maybe a little bit too obvious at trying to be heavy and bombastic, but heck, I like it. Every Minute, Every Day, good. Love on the Run, good. And Believe in Love, good. Really good. And I think that this was the right way to do the ballads album and the slow music and that sort of thing. There's another album coming up that isn't the right way to do that, I don't think. Crazy World, 1990. I've actually got 2 editions of this album, funnily enough. I did pick this up in a charity shop before getting this. And it's got is it a Spanish version of Wind of Change. And apparently on Discogs it's worth about £25. So I went, well, hey, we'll sell that. And I've had it up for ages and it hasn't sold. So obviously not worth that much, is it? But this is another good album, I have to say. Bit of a longer album. CDs were in by this point, so albums naturally getting a little bit longer. Tease Me, Please Me, Don't Believe Her, To Be With You of Heaven, the most famous Scorpions track, Wind of Change. I've grown to like that, actually. I wasn't a fan of that, but I've grown to like that. Restless Night, Lust or Love, Kicks After 6, Hit Between the Eyes, Money and Fame, Crazy World and Send Me an Angel. Top album this, I really like Crazy World. Then we've got a CD single of Wind of Change. Just obviously something that's just completely gone out of fashion now, singles. Well, for either vinyl or CD. With Wind of Change, Send Me an Angel and a live version of Blackout. Admittedly, I haven't listened to that. I might have a listen to that. Then we've got the 90s, where it started to go a bit downhill. Face the Heat. Alien Nation's a great track, but after that, it's not great at all, unfortunately. Live Bites, love another live album. Again, decent, but lacking something that the previous albums had. It's obviously the track list isn't as good as previous. I mean, we've got like Ave Maria No Morrow, Concerto in V, I guess, I don't know. Heroes Don't Cry, White Dove. You know, there's some stuff that's just... And it's not the longest album either. There's like 15 tracks, so I'm not going to pick this over Tokyo Tapes or Worldwide Live. Pure Instinct. Okay, this has got a bit more nudity on the cover, so we're not going to show the front cover. This actually isn't that bad. When I talked about Savage Amusement, and this was the album I was referring to, this was the wrong way to do the ballads album, because there are too many ballads on this. The first track, Wild Child, is really good. Does Anyone Know is decent, and Soul Behind the Face I really like. It's not bad, but again, it's just not one of those I'd go back to, unfortunately, for Scorpions. However, it gets worse. I mean, if you haven't listened to this, I'd say do it just for the heck of it, because it's not great at all. Mysterious is like if I remember right, because I don't know, I've tried to get this album out of my mind and forget that Scorpions ever did this. Mysterious, it's almost like funk-induced and really, really weird. I think if I remember right, Skywriter was half decent, but that's about it. This is a really poor album. Fortunately, they got back to form after this. Acoustica, I've listened to this. This is like an acoustic album, like the MTV Unplugged thing that went on during the time. It's okay for what it is, but do we want to see Scorpions do it? No. I'm going to be honest, after this point there's 4 albums in here which I've not listened to all that much. I can make a couple of comments though about 3 of the 4, maybe 2 of the 4, because I don't think I've listened to this yet, which is Scorpions in the Berliner Philharmoniker, Moments of Glory. If I'm right, I think this is like a re-recording of some of the old tracks, but nothing in here to get me too excited. I mean, we've got Send Me an Angel and Wind of Change. Okay. And then Lady Starlight, but nothing in here really hits me too much, so I might listen to that at some point. 2004's Unbreakable. I have listened to this after reading, I might do another video on that. I read recently Martin Popov's, I can't remember what it's called, is it just called Wind of Change, the Scorpion story? I read that book recently, that was a good read, and talked about this as a real return to form. So I thought, okay, I've got the CD, I'll listen to it, and I don't necessarily agree. Maybe it might take time, but I've only listened to this once. It's not the best. New Generation is good, but I don't know, it just seems to trudge through without really hitting me too much. I think when you listen to a lot of these albums, I think this one I was just listening to in the background while doing work or something, and it's really got to hit me for me to be interested in listening to it again. And a couple of tracks did, but I lost interest a little bit after that, I have to say. But not a terrible album by any means. I might go back to it again, but again, not the best. Humanity Hour 1. This is mixed, review-wise. Again, I haven't listened to it yet, but it's very mixed review-wise. People say it was a complete wrong direction, almost like a concept album, and it was the wrong direction, but I'll feed back on that one. We then got Sting in the Tail, which was supposed to be the last album that Scorpions did. It wasn't, as it turns out. And again, I've listened to about half of this. I really like Raised on Rock and Sting in the Tail with the use of the talk box, which is really good. Also listened to The Best Is Yet to Come, like that. Almost should have been the last Scorpions track, really. But again, a good album from what I've heard of it. And then included as well, we've got 2 greatest hits selections. Classic Bite's more of a 90s selection. The Deadly Sting is all 80s. So none of the early tracks, but a good selection. So that's the Scorpions collection that I've got, and a really good one. I'm really happy that I managed to pick this up for the price, because as much as I like collecting the albums in turn. It's, you know, nice to go through and sort of collect 3 or 4 at a time, and it's quite overwhelming when you have all these albums come at once. It's like, God, you know, what do I listen to first? And even 12 months later, I'm still struggling with that a little bit. But yeah, a really good price for these albums when you think about 25 CDs for £60 plus the DVD as well. You're talking a couple of pounds a CD, and I think I definitely had a really good bargain there. And there's still a bit to go for me to listen to all of these albums, particularly the early albums. I want to listen to the early albums, just haven't got round to it yet. We've all got busy lives, haven't we? But yeah, one of my favourite albums of Scorpions, and buying the box set, well, not the box set, sorry, but buying these CDs in a set has just made me love the Scorpions even more, particularly for Savage Amusement and Crazy World, 2 albums that I hadn't listened to much before and now really, really enjoy. So that's my story so far with the Scorpions from the CD set that I've bought. Are you a Scorpions fan? I presume you are, if you've got to this point in the video. If you are, leave a like if you've enjoyed. And I have done a review on Animal Magnetism on the channel. If you want to see more reviews of the albums, let me know that down below as well. Leave a comment, what did you think? What are your thoughts about some of the Scorpions albums? Do you disagree with me inherently on Love at First Sting? Is that your best and most favourite Scorpions album? Let me know. It's always good to have a debate in the comments. Subscribe for regular videos, more stuff like this. Let me know what you'd like to see music related down in the comments. Thank you for your company today, and that'll be it for today's video. But until the next time, I've been Toby Jones. Thank you for your company, and I'll see you again next time. Goodbye for now.